Solutions Network. Our guest today is Kevin Fleming. He's a PhD and former neuropsychologist and president, CEO, and founder of a unique neuroscience-based consultancy assessment and coaching firm called Gray Matters International. And he's here today to talk to those of us that are employers, those of us that are employees, those of us that want to work better and make things better for us. Kevin, welcome aboard.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here, Bradley.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is this so important about letting our job work for us as opposed to us working our job?
Yeah, I'd say it's becoming a lot more critical of a question now, mainly because information overload is such a reality, right? I mean, it's
Information overload. You mean they're demanding too much of us, or what?
not some. Yes, I would say in some ways that, but I'm going to argue more from duration of messages coming at us. It's the chronic nature, and there's no breaks. There's this great book out. I think he's a neurobiologist at Stanford. Sapolsky's his name, I think. But he had a great title of a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. It's a great title. And his whole point is that the reason why in the savannah, when a zebra's getting hunted down, there's a clear delineation between the threat and the resolution. We don't have that in real life anymore. Everything is 24/7 and blended, and it's the virtual sort of, we're all living now in one global pond versus all these separate ponds we used to kind of be the big fish in. So now everything's coming at us, and everything is now deemed as equally important.
Right.
And so the chronic stress part is very, very dangerous, in my opinion. What stress does when it's chronic, again, we all get up and down with stress, and we actually need a optimal kind of moderate level of stress to live. But when it's chronic and unstoppable and constantly pinging at us, is it creates cortisol. And cortisol in the brain camps out at right in the hippocampus region, just a fancy name for the working, learning kind of part. And it riddles it. And when that constantly berates us, we have a hard time processing information, deciding, thriving, living well, being balanced. So I believe when we're looking at this work question that you just pitched at me, it's a big question now. And the idea of empowerment and being healthy and really being brain-centric with your life has never been more important than right now.
Well, what we want to do is make the work environment a better place, but in order for it to be a better place, it's got to be a better place between your ears, correct?
Yeah, that's a great point.
And that's what the whole deal, whether you're a president, a CEO of a corporation, or you're the employee at the bottom of the ladder trying to climb your way up, it's all important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And here's where it gets tricky. The brain starts kind of saying, hey, you know what? You're not giving me a break. I'm going to start tricking you into thinking everything's fine. So then the reason why it gets really dangerous in a way is because it goes into survival mode. The brain goes into this sort of automatic pilot position that basically is saying, I'll take it from here, but you're really not. I mean, it's kind of like, when God forbid, people that are out there that have gotten behind the wheel when they shouldn't be, when alcohol gets it. Right. You start getting that false sense of control, right? Okay, I know what I'm doing. And all of a sudden the car's going over here. That's what happens with the brain with chronic stress hitting at it. You think you're you keep your car in the middle of the road. You're really not. And the guys that call me, that are executives or mid-level managers, whoever.
Do a lot of executives call you?
Yeah. The people that are burned out. I mean, I'm seeing the burnout kind of phone call come in a lot. Because the EAP professional that the HR folks that are usually throwing them, this bone saying, go talk to this EAP guy, they're getting standard, trite, sort of counseling type information. They're not getting brain-centric stuff that I think is pretty critical.
Brain-centric stuff. Tell me about that.
Well, in other words, you can go to a counselor to help you deal with stress, and they'll usually give you sort of things that are rationally true, like go exercise more. Go take care of yourself. Got to make sure that you get on the treadmill. Got to make sure you eat this and that. And a lot of times there's a bubble above the head from the executive that says, yeah, right. Have you seen it in my life? You want me to get up at 4 a.m. now instead and get a workout in, right? I mean, these kind of things happen. And so what happens is these people leave these information-friendly kind of, disease management pamphlet handing kind of dialogues. And they go, you know what? It's not fitting my life. You guys don't understand what I'm really going through. And I think they're kind of right.
Are you leaning towards what they do, like for Google, for instance, where it's an environment, they got their restaurants, their gyms, their everything. There's no time commitments. It's all
self-directed.
Yeah,
self-directed, optimal. I think environments can change more about our issues than us fixing it again. Because what's ironic about saying get on a treadmill is you can actually feel like you're on a treadmill trying to fix getting on a treadmill, and so and it's like. I think we do more by peeling the onion and going backwards, like you're saying, work from the environment back in. Yeah, I mean, are you sitting in a cubicle with no light? Are you have music on during the day? Music makes your brain so much creative. Are you doing exercise? At least, you can actually drive your car to work and do crunches by turning I mean, there's so many ways you can. By the time you get to work, you can have an optimal brain walking in the door.
And if somebody calls you being their coach, you know all these things. You've prescribed them all before.
And
right?
not only the tips and tools, but almost more importantly is that I think what these guys tell me, and you can go on my website and take a look at some of these testimonials from the business folks out there.
That's Kevin Fleming PhD.com. Kevin Fleming with one M. PhD.com.
That's right. And what you'll see in those stories there is, I think what they say the most is, I've heard the information you give me before, but the implementation into my brain is different now. You seem like you really are making it fit into my world. And I think that's the key. I used to be a director of training for a health coaching company, and we had to work with truck drivers. Talk about a population that was very difficult to change. Body weight and size and health decisions. We did it. This company that I was working with gave one of the largest trucking firms a 2-to-1 return on investment on their healthcare dollar. Why? Because we went to the level of the truck driver. We drove around in the rigs with them. We got in there to listen to what their fears are. We made sure that we didn't just give answers like, cut out fat in your diet. Yeah, right. That's going to work for a truck driver, right? We made sure that we thought about things like pulling a however many wheels rig, into a parking lot to get, their meals. These things are real. These are real barriers.
But you bring neuroscience into coaching, right?
Yeah.
You're not just a regular life coach.
No, I'm not.
You're not just going to give them a one size, one glove fits all everything.
Yeah,
right?
Motivate, set some goals. The reason why you're not healthier in your work, Johnny, is you're not setting goals around health. What? See, to me, the environment is so incredibly crazy in the corporate America, in my opinion, that you try to put just a normal coaching answer on that one, these guys are actually going to get more pissed off, in my opinion.
Why is neuroscience so important to bring into coaching?
Because it tempers the trite answers you're giving. In other words, and again, I need to put that in the right light. There are a lot of good coaches doing good things with good people at the right time. Got it.
To have a coach is better than not have a coach.
In many cases, absolutely, because at least you're striving towards being better. That in and of itself is a good thing, right? The problem is it's kind of like, here's this. It's like, okay, if I'm drowning in the water and this is what it can feel like when you're doing more traditional coaching with someone in this level of complexity of the way the corporate America is. They're drowning. They're asking for a life preserver. Someone's sitting there, and what we're doing is describing the water to them while they drown.
Wow.
I think that's sometimes what it's like for these guys feeling in a coaching session. They're like, you're giving me information, but do you really understand the reality of this world, the ocean, the sharks that are going around me right now? Do you understand that there's trade-offs to those? For me to be healthier means I may have to give up something very, very secure, and I've got all these other pressures in my life, and my wife has gotten used to a certain lifestyle, and my kids too. And you know what? Maybe I am subconsciously putting health on the back burner to make sure that I perform as a dad and father. These are some really interesting dialogues that I think you need to have that are larger scale. A lot of times in Gray Matters, I'm working with the leader, the one they report to, the team they're on. I kind of wear many hats because guess what? You got to fix the system as well as the person. They got to go hand in hand. And
the company is called Gray Matters. His name is Kevin Fleming. He's a PhD, also the CEO of Gray Matters, and it's about changing you from the inside.
Yeah.
From the inside out.
Yeah.
Making you a better individual so that you can take all there is better in life, correct?
Correct. And being very mindful about the interplay between what is changeable within you and what are some parameters in the environment nowadays in corporate America that you just have to know what the cost-benefit ratio is. And I think that's my point. A lot of times these guys have no idea that the 24/7 BlackBerry live-in is actually causing their pain because there's no brakes. So I'm not saying throw your BlackBerry in the ocean and give the finger to your boss, but I am saying demarcations, lines, breaks, timeouts. You can become like the zebra in the savannah that doesn't get an ulcer. You have to learn what those behaviors are in modern life that will actually make your brain thrive. And you're not going to get them in an HR department dialogue.
And to understand that this is a big deal.
This is a big
Taking
deal.
Taking care of yourself is a big deal, right?
Right.
Probably as big or bigger than anything else you're dealing with, right?
Yeah. And you know why? Great point, Bradley. You want to know why it's huge? There's a great statistic out that says if you were facing a life and death situation, again, many of these guys are having health issues. They got
Sure.
heart attacks, stress-related issues. It's a big deal. If you're facing a life or death decision and death's at your door because of some kind of chronic illness diagnosis or something, what do you think the chances of changing, even when someone says you'll die if you don't? The guy named Alan Duchman, who wrote a great book called Change or Die, did that study. It's remarkable when I get asked that question, what people give me numbers on. You have a 1 in 9 chance of actually changing your habits and behaviors, even when death's facing your door. Now, that's remarkable to me. So when you say, why do you put neuroscience in your dialogue? Because even when someone says I'm going to die, I still don't change? Well, something's going on with my brain at that point. It's not because I'm not getting nice validation comments and words from people that care about me. I'm sure I am. I'm sure people around me are going, you got to do something about this, dude. It's not working. It's because there's something very delusional about the brain that happens under stress and under threat. It shuts down. So, change dialogues? Yeah, right. I'm just trying to stay afloat. So when you have that kind of chance of changing, this is important to get engaged with someone like me who can get real with you fast.
Great. His name is Kevin Fleming. He's the president and CEO of Gray Matters International. You can call him at 877-606-6161. That's 877-606-6161. If you're the president of a corporation, if you're just an employee, or you just want to make your life better for you and your family, give him a call. That's 877-606-6161. Check his website out at kevinflemingphd.com. That's Kevin Fleming PhD.com. Now, Kevin, give us. We got about a minute left here on the show.
Yeah.
Tell us what's really important and what people that come and see you can expect to see in their life.
Absolutely. What they would expect right away is sort of a stripping away of some of the illusions that are getting them in pain. In other words, some of this is going to be new behaviors you're going to learn with me, and some of it is going to be some expectation changes that you just been holding on too tightly that you have to let go on. And so I'm going to get it straight, get it real, so you can really thrive.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. The company is called Gray Matters. He's Kevin Fleming. And my name is Bradley Quick, and this has been your Solutions.